Hello, this is Greg Allison of Green Rigs, coming to you in the closing moments of the 2nd of January 2020. It does seem that the purveyors of globalism are unhappy with Russia's turn from communism. It seems that many are giddy with glee to get started with World War III. But before they get to rootin' and tootin' to take on Vladimir Putin, they ought to know with what he's going to come back and shooting. So I think you might ought to listen to me and see where this could go. So we're going to talk about this. We're going to talk about the SolarWinds hack. It's been accused that the Russians have been the purveyors, the ones that instigated the biggest massive hack of systems here in the United States. At least that's the accusation. The proof does not seem to be in the pudding. Some are saying that a Russian hacker group known as Cozy Bear, oh, isn't that such a lovely name, is behind this attack. Of course, it is anything but a cozy, lovely attack. It was the biggest attack that ever occurred in American history, the history of the West, the history of computing. It was a huge, enormous cyber attack. Who was behind it? That's a good question, but it's not quite resolved yet. So all that said, we're going to get into what that means, some of the accusations, the call for retaliation, and just what it would actually mean to get into it with Russia if we went full-blown war. We don't want to go there. We do not want to go there. And, you know, you've heard me call for maybe making a peace treaty with Russia and grounds of having some mutual defense against China. I'm going to explain that a little bit more as we get into this. I'm going to explain why Russia is a threat. Yeah, if we get in war with them, they're a huge threat, especially right now. Huge, huge. Right now, the biggest threat, hands down. But when you really get looking at the basis, why, what divides us, you know, there's not as much there. But right now, there are people pushing this. There are people that would push these buttons to angst this, ratchet all this tension up in this area. That's one more tension we don't need. We already have enough tension with China, with Iran, with internal tension here in the United States. There's prospects with North Korea. The last thing we need to do is start stirring it up somewhere else. Now, indeed, if Russia got involved in this, something needs to be done, and it might be done, but it better be done in ways that we're very mindful of, that we don't push it too far. And we ought to be looking for other opportunities. In the meantime, my friends, we're in extremely uncertain times right now with everything going on here, everything internationally. And I've just reported, did really 4 videos on World War, on a potential civil war, 3 in a direct row with each other. And I've covered what's going on a little bit so far with the march to Washington, D.C. I imagine there's going to be a lot more of that. We just had the incident of the bombing of Nashville and a couple of copycats of a guy in a panel van south of Lebanon, Tennessee, a gas attack up in Aspen, Colorado. Yeah, I just saw W7 got around reporting that. I was several days ahead of him on that. Well, good for him. He's reaching a large audience with his platform. So we live in uncertain times, and I've been telling you this all along. I'm telling you, you better get ready. Right now, I've got a good deal for you, though, to get ready. $100 off. A 4-week supply of food. They'll last 25 years. You get 2 buckets like this, 2,000 calories a day, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. This is real food. With this, you'll be a winner. I have to do some videos cooking this stuff up one day, won't I? So go to prepwithgreg.com. Again, prepwithgreg.com to get this stuff. And we'll cover this more in the future. I'm going to do some cooking sessions. But go to prepwithgreg.com. Click the logo from My Patriot Supply at the top of the website and take into all kind of prepping supplies. And right now, you really need to be thinking about these things, especially with everything going on. All right, so let's get into it. I want to do some sharing here real quick. Sometimes you say, Greg, where do you go to get this stuff? I usually go to several different websites, but and a lot of times I write down my stuff. I take my own notes, and a lot of my source material is just my whole lifetime of experience in these fields. But and a lot of it's personal contacts and things that I've done, the things that personal contacts are telling me. As you know, I'm associated with generals. I've had them on my channel. I've had people from the Pentagon on my channel, at least one individual. So I've got a lot of contacts. If you see my Power Grid Defense Conference, I had people there from all sorts of government agencies too, and companies. So let's go in here and let's do, why did that go there? I took it off that page. All right, here we go. So this is the Hill. This newspaper is called the Hill. Well, this is the website for the Hill. If you ever go up to Capitol Hill, you will find the Hill distributed across the tables and the halls of Congress, their office buildings, their office complex, or lunch areas. I've ran the halls of Congress, and sure enough, this would be Atlanta. This is just kind of an example of what you might see in the Hill. It's just got some interesting articles in it. It's supposed to be bipartisan. Here's a whole nother story we could hit on, right? World's richest people added 1.8 trillion to the combined wealth in 2020. Oh, $32 trillion. I've been talking about that. I'll have to come back to that topic. Sitting here just talking about it in Wikipedia. It's a well-respected magazine newsletter of the area. So let's get out of that. I just wanted to give you a little background what the Hill is, in case you didn't know, because it's not the media that necessarily is that well known across the country, but it's highly well known in Washington, D.C. So they cover Congress, politics, international affairs. So it's worth getting into here. The title of this article is Why America Must Retaliate After Massive Cyber Attack from Russia. Okay, so there's two things that are very definitive in here that's kind of disturbing. Must retaliate, and from Russia. It was a massive cyber attack, that's for sure. And it may have been from Russia. There's certainly a lot of people indicating that, but the jury's still out. But this article has drawn the conclusion that they have convicted and are ready to prosecute. So we'll kind of take a glance at this. Yeah, so here it mentions the Cozy Bear, managed by Foreign Intelligence Services of Russia. They say they're doing it. Talks about the flaws in our systems here. And again, this article, if you read Wikipedia, it says this paper website leans to the right, but this article is definitely leaning anti-Trump. And I'm not going to read all that verbatim. So let's go here. It says here, Joe Biden has already indicated that he will take decisive action against Russia after taking office and work with our allies to counter the threat of its aggression in a way that Trump had mostly failed to do. Biden declared the United States needs to work with our allies to set up an international system that will constitute appropriate behavior in cyberspace. And this is interesting here too. His incoming House Chief of Staff, Ron Klain, he said that an attack of this magnitude would run beyond sanctions and include additional steps to degrade the capability of foreign actors to repeat this sort of attack. Well, that's interesting. Beyond sanctions. Sanctions are one of the most severe other embargoes are actually what do you call it when you barricade? Yeah. See, what do you call that? There's a word for that. Mine's drawing blank right now. Blockade. Yeah. Sanctions, blockade's considered an act of war, actually. So sanctions are pretty high up on the pecking order. That's what's got Iran all mad, is the sanctions. But when you go beyond sanctions, you're taking a good distance here. How far are they talking about going? Yeah. And he said a bold retaliation. Given the, now this is the writer here talking. Given the grave threat posed by Russia, a bold retaliation by the United States, like the one claim suggests, must be the only response. So this guy's already convicted Russia and is prepared to prosecute. And he says it must be a bold retaliation. Well, that's kind of vague, but it's also a very loaded point to be making here. So, I don't know if I want to go in this article any further, but, oh yeah, I did find this kind of interesting. Putin does not mind stealing our secrets. It's clear that he is also interested in exploiting our systematic vulnerabilities. Well, okay, probably maybe. But more than anything, he wants to delegitimize American institutions, erode faith in democracy. We have a republic, by the way, and foster cynicism in citizens about the honesty and reliability of what we are told by leaders and the media. Holy smoke! I could just replay back media stuff and give you plenty of to be cynicism about there, like all the videos from channel after channel after channel after channel after channel after channel. We're all saying the same thing. They're repeating the same sentences. Oh yeah, I should have brought that up. There's so much that all the institutions and the media need to do to erode our faith in them is to do exactly what they're doing. They don't need any help from the outside to do that. They've already done a spectacular, marvelous job at doing it on their own. Give me a break. See this guy, you can tell this guy is a deep state writer. This guy is globalist. So this author I do not have any respect for. Douglas Scone, maybe he'll watch this video. But come on, Douglas Scone, good grief. So yeah. Of course, he's got a book out. Cyber warfare. Okay. Douglas Scone, be gone. All right, so let's take a look at Russia. Bang. This is the weapon system that Russia has come out with that probably concerns me more than anything, but they have plenty of new weapon systems. Russia has developed a whole suite of new weapon systems that some of you may not be aware of. They are mind-boggling. This is science fiction level weapon system. This is doomsday, apocalyptic. Oh my God! You thought nuclear war was bad? Oh no. Nuclear war like we used to know it, your granddad's nuclear war. That was a kid's Sunday school picnic. Oh, Russia now has a tsunami weapon. They call it the Poseidon. See, the tsunami apocalypse torpedo. Great, why do they call it that? Well, see, it started out as Status 6 or Canyon. And this is kind of a schematic, what they think, how they believe it's laid out. Poseidon death won't blow up. Torpedo. Well, the reason for that is it can carry a 100 megaton thermonuclear warhead. That is the Tsar Bomba, the largest detonated warhead ever in the world. Was a half-scale Tsar Bomba at 50 megatons. So this 100 megaton bomb is the largest thing that that it's never been exploded. The 50 was outrageous. That was an outrageous detonation on Earth. Yeah, so Sutton claims that that it might be just carrying 2 megatons. Well, it could carry the 2 megaton warheads, which is quite a bit larger than Hiroshima, by the way, which is 15 kilotons. But if you start looking at the speeds, and I'm seeing higher speeds than this and some of the literature, this one concerns me greatly because it could, if you set it off the coast with the Tsar Bomba, if you set it off the coast of any of the, let me move this over, any of our coast, then it's going to create, it's just said it would create a tsunami. One weapon that could take out the entire coastal region of a continent, basically, like North America. You could take out our entire eastern seaboard with one device. That's what some believe. Western seaboard with another device. Take out the Gulf with another. Three of them takes out all our coast. Throw out one to Hawaii and one around our naval forces around China and a couple other places, and you got everything. But yeah, so they're developing this submarine. The Khabarovsk class. Excuse me, my Russian's a bit rusty. It's been 11 years since I've been to Moscow. This thing, they're planning to build 4 of them. I understand they got 2 that are being completed right now. I think 2 completed. Each one can carry 6 of these into the world type devices. Really? 6? 6 would take out everything we got. Each one of these could carry 6, and they're planning to build 4 of them. 24 of these type devices. Oh, let me tell you more about this Poseidon. Oh yeah, this guy. So this is a submarine that would carry them. They're actually testing it from another submarine already. This Poseidon. This is the Poseidon again. The range is really unlimited because it's nuclear power. So don't pay any attention to that. beam 1.5 meters. No, actually, I've heard 8 foot, 6 to 8 foot. Well, actually, that'd be about 6 foot. So 25 meters long. This thing has a submerged speed. This thing has a super cavitating technology. They believe it could go 108 knots. That's really fast, but it's got like a limitless range. And its operating depth is 1,000 meters. 1,000 meters. So it's going to operate 1,000 meters deep, just so that it'd be extremely hard to detect, hard to take out, hard to stop. And they say these things might even just sit on the bottom of the sea and wait for aircraft carrier groups to come over, or some other event to be triggered. I don't know how you'd signal them at that depth, but they may have a way. So this is more on that system. This shows what a Tsar Bomba would do if detonated, like one bomb, just one device, like here in New York. It would take out this whole large area with explosive radius. And then look, the radioactive plume would go all the way down to Gulf, Mobile, from New York City. Most of them would be like this big. From most nukes that we're aware of, you'd have a little circle about right here, and then you'd have a plume coming up about this far. Oh no, this thing's huge, 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 huge. That's what a Tsar Bomba would do. This is on land. This is not torpedo. Well, the torpedo would surface. Yeah, it's about what it would do right there if they targeted there, just from the blast effect itself. That's neglecting the tsunami, of course. So yeah, guys, this is no toy. Yeah, this is what the Tsar Bomba would look like going off over New York again. Another view of that. Yeah, I should probably pull Tsar Bomba up here. Let's see here. Yeah, so this is what they're talking about putting in a submarine. That's the status 6 submarine, which became, let's see, they have a link to Tsar Bomba in here. I can definitely pull it up if I wanted to. Interesting. All this stuff here, there's no direct link to Tsar Bomba. Wait. 400 megatons. What? Oh, it's because it can carry 4 of them. Jeez. Yeah. That's some very explosive supercavitation. That means it creates air bubbles in front of the device that like hollows out the air and makes it easier for water, makes it easier for it to slip through it, so it can go faster. Yeah. Let's see here. Let's do a Tsar Bomba search real quick. TSA. Tsar Bomba. Bam. There it is from 100 miles away. That photo is from 100 miles away. Yikes. That was a half Tsar Bomba. That's the initial fireball. That would be the blast radius over Paris. That's all the cities around. It's Versailles. That's all the cities around Paris. That's Paris down here. This is the blast radius. Destruction. Total. See? Everything in that circle will be totally gone. Yeah, nothing to play with. Tsar Bomba is 100 megatons. See, their biggest warheads we tend to want to put on missiles today are 2 megatons. Megatons. This is 100. It's a huge device. Very powerful. There's a lot you can look up on this. You can go online and look up comparisons to mushroom clouds of the different sized devices, like the Hiroshima bombs, which look like nothing compared to this. Yeah, you can see where they set it off up there near the Arctic Ocean. They had to get as remote as they could. All right, enough of that. Yeah, again, this is some more on that torpedo. Yeah, this is depictions of tsunamis that might be caused by it. Yeah, that's another There's some more tsunami artwork. So there's a lot of stuff out there, a lot of literature on this. You're free to look that stuff up. This is not a toy. Now here is the new missile that's supposed to be coming into production this year. No, not production. This is supposed to be fielded this year. They just finished up the test. It's RS-28 Sarmat, or the Satan II missile, as we like to call it, the Satan II missile. This thing can carry 10 to 15 MIRV, multiple independent reentry vehicle warheads. That's what MIRV means in nuclear parlance. Multiple independent reentry vehicle. See MIRV right there. That you can plant several into one missile, several warheads, and they could be independently targetable. Now Russia's developing warheads that are that can fly around and maneuver to evade missile defense. And this whole missile is developed to evade missile defense, and its boost phase is a very short firing phase, so that it won't be so visible to our satellites. And this thing is so powerful. Now, see, here's what's sort of funny. You see one studied range on here of about 18,000 kilometers. But if you start reading over here, it says that they claim that it can actually do 35,000 kilometers. You see this? 35,000 kilometers suborbital flight. The whole idea of this missile is not to launch it over the North Pole like everything we're watching for, but to launch it the other way so it comes at us from over the South Pole, coming at us from over the Gulf of Mexico. So we're looking in the wrong direction for these guys. And, you know, 10 to 15 warheads, they say this thing can take you out something the size of Texas or France. Just one missile. Saying they're planning to build several of these. So this is a very, this is the worst atomic missile. This is the worst intercontinental ballistic missile ever developed, ICBM. This is the most deadly ICBM ever devised by man. And all that, Russia's got all kind of other new things they're coming up with. You know, they're coming up with hypersonic missiles that go so fast they can get here just lickety split. They're coming up with nuclear powered missiles, cruise missiles. They can just fly around endlessly before they zoom in and drop their bombs. Just fly around all over the place. Just keep flying. So you won't know where they're coming from. They can plan to launch them at you to hit New York, but they might fly around the Pacific Ocean, then slip around South America and South Atlantic, and then come around. You know, you just don't know where they're going to be at. That's the whole purpose. They're trying to defeat our missile defense. And then they've got, they just keep developing new systems. You know, they got these real high velocity systems. Other submarine launched cruise missiles are developing. So Russia is developing a very formidable, let me end this here, a very formidable set of, whoa, invite, no, stop share. Russia's developing a very formidable set of weapon systems. And the reason I'm pointing this out is we don't want to tangle with a bear. This bear is big. This bear is bad. It's got claws and teeth that are beyond belief. So, but the bear's got a weakness. The bear's old. Population is dropping internally. They're not able really in the long term to sustain themselves unless they can get their people to having more babies, lots more babies. But like in many Western countries, the populations are dropping. And they have a huge country to maintain. Russia is going to be hard put to maintain their own country. They lost the Cold War because they cannot compete with America economically, because back in the day they were communists, and communism is an inefficient system. And they practiced actual communism. The Chinese have practiced a totalitarian form of capitalism that usually goes by the name that's considered to be the opposite of communism, but they're calling it communism. Whatever, it's still totalitarianism. It is a more productive economic machine, but it still could be far more productive if it was true capitalism. That's not the purpose of this video. I'm just telling you that there's a little bit of difference between Russia and China there. But Russia, moreover, has other systemic problems in that, you know, there's cold air. There's a huge alcoholism problems. The people are, they're not producing like the Chinese, and maybe they can't because of they're so scattered out. They're just the weather they have to deal with, and some of the cultural things, like again the alcoholism, which is huge there. Hey, I went to Russia, and you toast at lunchtime with vodka. I actually practiced taking a shot of vodka before I went to Russia to make sure I could do it, because that stuff's pretty stout. Can I do this? I better make sure before I go over there. So I actually bought a little vodka, and did a couple of shots before, during lunch one day. Just, I had lunch at home. I did it the weekend that time just to see if I could do it. Yeah, I said, okay, I can handle it. What I don't want to do all day, though, that stuff is pretty stout. Maybe some of you like that. I had some friends who were just sitting around with whole glasses of that stuff and drinking. Wow. They would usually get pretty loopy. Some of them would. So, wow. That made people want to fight. You better watch it. Yeah, make them want to fight. That's might be the trouble. Russians might come after us. So, old bear gets riled up. You better watch it. So, here's the thing. Russia could not take us on in the Cold War. They crumbled economically. Russia doesn't have the people we have. We have a bigger economy. We have a more dynamic economy. They couldn't compete with us. They did not have capitalism. And today they've got rid of communism. They still haven't really learned how to make capitalism work. They're working on it, but they ain't quite there yet. They haven't got this service to others attitude yet. Or at least it didn't when I walked in there. Sometimes, if you don't have a market economy, if you're not capitalistic, you walk in a store, you're a problem to the lady or person working the store, not a customer. Oh, I got to serve them. What do you want? They haven't yet quite developed the culture we have for capitalism. It's interesting. The Chinese did copy that pretty fast, but the Russians are taking a little bit longer with that. I don't know fully why, but they're working on it. They're good people. I enjoyed my trip to Russia, by the way. There's good people there. There's good people in China. I'd hate to think that we're going to wipe all those people out in some big conflict, or they'd wipe us out. But it's not the people in any of these places. It's the governments. It's the so-called leaders who gain their power by playing other people against each other. So it's not the people. The people in Russia, there's a lot of fine people in Russia. There's a lot of fine people even in mainland China. You take the people in mainland China who are communist or whatever you want to call it, and you take the people in the Republic of China who are definitely on fire, lovers of freedom. They come from the same source. You take people in North Korea and South Korea, they came from the same families, divided up and put in two different ideological systems. So, they're good people. It's not the people, it's the governments, it's the leaderships that I have issue with. Okay. I have issue with our own leadership in many ways. So that's why, people to people, mano a mano. But seriously, let me get back to this. The reason what I'm building up to is this. I'm going someplace. I'm not just yammering, okay? Russia, in the long run, is not really a threat to us. Russia has developed all this stuff because they already had a lot of things. They would, even though the Soviet Union fell apart, Vladimir Putin would like to step back to some level of the former glory. He'll never get back the entire Warsaw Pact. He knows that. And the idea that he would, see, in the old days, communism had a manifesto. Communism believed that the only way communism worked was if they took over the whole world. For it to work, they had to take up the whole world, so there'd be no competition of thought or anything else. So nobody would even be able to think there's another way. There's a better way. No, it's just them. This is the only way. And, so they had it in their philosophy. They had to conquer. They had to try to win over hearts and minds, and where they couldn't win them over, they'd take them over. So they did have plans to take over Western Europe at one time. Now, Russia today taking over Western Europe. Western Europe is economically so strong. There's so many people there, and there's so few Russians. Even if they did it, they couldn't hold it. I mean, that would be futile. What are they going to do? Risk their entire existence in a nuclear war to take over Western Europe today? Well, the Western Europeans probably couldn't fight them at first. They probably would cave in. They probably would fail. But Russia couldn't hold it. They couldn't hold on to it. that the dynamic of the people, the area, their hold of grass will crumble because they just don't have enough to hold it with. They might have enough to go in and hit them hard, or to blitzkrieg it in and take over, but that would crumble. They just don't have the resources to maintain control over a population that large, unless they wipe them out. But I just don't see that. So, and I don't even know why it would be in Russia's interest, because Russia's real interest is maintaining Russia. Russia, the real interest is to survive as a country. Their very survival is at risk because their population is imploding, and there's a bigger reason. There's another country to the south of Russia that's growing, it's expanding. It does have a huge economy. It's the manufacturing center of the world. And they're very opportunistic. And they're looking at the land north of them, which is mostly vacant, and licking their lips at Siberia and the rest of Russia and all this oil. Russia knows that China would love to take it. And they would. China would love to have Siberia and eventually just take it all. And eventually, the only thing there is to stop them is the nuclear weapons that Russia has and whatever alliances they can build to, even with that, the Chinese will, if Russia don't have support and alliances, the Chinese people just move into Siberia. So Russia needs us more than they need anything else. But we've pushed them out. We've pushed them away. We have said, "Oh, you're bad. You're terrible." And Putin is not a good guy. Don't put words in my mouth. Putin is not a good guy. He rose to power by playing against the Chechens. He did a power play. They had their own little 9/11 with explosions in a theater there in Russia. And the way he played that up is how he rose to power. He's not a good guy, but he's not a globalist. He's not a globalist, and that's what they got against him. And he has enabled Christianity to flourish in Russia. Whatever you think of that, he's definitely not a globalist. So he's an interesting guy, but he is a dictator, and he relishes that. He likes his power. Power corrupts, and absolute power corrupts absolutely. That's what I'm telling you. He can't be a good guy. Any guy with his level of power can't be. But his power is nothing compared to the power of Xi Jinping. Xi Jinping. Well, I can't even talk tonight. It's late, it's midnight. But the biggest threat to Russia is China, not us. But we're the most immediate threat. That's why he postures himself against us. He postures himself against us, and he continues to train with China. Well, he is postured some against China too. He knows China's the threat, but we're the most immediate threat. The most immediate threat. Not the biggest threat, the most immediate threat. But fundamentally, there's not a whole lot of difference between Americans and Russians, to be honest. There's not. When I was walking around, I go, why are we enemies? I just walk around, meeting people and go, why are we enemies? Why would we want to nuke each other? Why? 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 So if I was in China, I'd be asking the same thing there too. But the leadership in China is a whole different matter. I wouldn't want to attack the people of China. The leadership, I don't care for Xi Jinping and the CCP. But the people, there's a lot of good innocent people there, just like there's good innocent people in every country on earth. There's good, bad people everywhere on earth. Just bad people tend to like to float to the top, and some countries and governmental systems encourage badness more than others. And some of us here deluded, and we're calling badness goodness. My goodness. So here's what I say. In the end, Russia's not really a threat to us, except for the fact that we're a threat to them. They posture against us because we might hit them. If we could cut some really meaningful peace deal with them and develop a good ironclad relationship, where you'd be trust but verify, where we could work with them. We're working with them great on the International Space Station. We could expand that in a lot of areas, that we could work with Russia on a lot of stuff and build a real basis there, a real foundation where we wouldn't want to be attacking each other. We might have totally trust each other, but at least we won't be attacking each other. because we're both powerful nations. Between us and Russia, we could defend the United States and Russia and contain the expansion of China, especially with India. We want to pull India in on that too, because India is worried about China. So if you get the United States, Russia, and India working together, we could keep China from going crazy. I wouldn't want to attack them, no, but we could help, dampen their ambitions for globalistic conquest. So that's my proposition, that we have a whole new structure between the United States, Russia, and India. And we use that to build new bridges of peace and prosperity. And then once we've established that, we work with China too. But under the, hey, you're not going to be the expansionist, whatever you thought you were. And neither should we. Basically, no country ought to be expansionist. What we ought to do is find ways to cooperate, but we need to have a new collective way of dealing country to country. But we need alliances to do that. And right now, the biggest alliance that we need is Russia. Yeah, did Russia do bad? If they did this solar winds hack, yeah, that's really bad. Should they pay for that? Yes, they should pay for that if they did that. Absolutely. But be careful the language you use and how you retaliate. See, one of the things that concerned me was this. Here's why I'm doing this video, as much as anything else. When she was running for president, Hillary Clinton said that she would declare a no-fly zone over all of Syria. The Russians will not have stood for that because they have a naval base off the coast of Syria. And Assad is an ally to them. And I would submit, it looks to me like a lot of those so-called attacks were false flag attacks used by stuff sent out of Libya after Muammar Gaddafi fell. And I think a whole lot of stuff going on with Benghazi was a cover-up for the transfer of stuff to Syria and other places. So you may take issue with that, but here's what I got to say. That's beside the point. My point is this, that Hillary said she'd shoot down Russian MiGs if it flew in that no-fly zone. She did this in a big American talk show. She said, oh yeah, she'd shoot down MiGs, Russian MiGs. And it's like, really? You would take us into World War III over your little thing in Syria? Really? We need to leave Syria alone in the first place. We got no business messing around with Syria. And yet you would take down and shoot down Russian MiGs. You would start World War III just like that. See, there's been this whole clique there that wants to take on Russia. They keep wanting to hit Russia, take on Russia, take on Russia. But you're happy with China. Wow. Wow. Let's flip that. Yeah, if Russia did this, then they should pay for it in terms of the hack, but not to the point of pushing war. We need to find a way to reach into Russia and make a peace treaty and bring in India. Maybe build an alliance, be Southeast Asian nations. Whoever is interested in not being run over by China. Australia, yeah. South Korea, Japan, Vietnam, all those countries. Vietnam's had a war with China. And the Mekong River, China's wanting to cut that water off from Cambodia and Vietnam. They're damming it up. So there you go. There's our hope. If we do it right, maybe the CCP would collapse and China the mainland China would attain a more democratic republic and become a wonderful country to work with. There's wonderful people there. They need freedom and liberty just like everyone else. See, we could have a beautiful dream, but we need to be smart about it and work this thing. All right, I beat this hard and long. The reason I bring this up is that there are people that want to go to war with Russia. What? That's like, what? Really? Really? Are you insane? Oh yeah, by the way, it is rumored. I read an article. And I can't find it right now, but I read an article some time back where it said that Vladimir Putin said. It said that Vladimir Putin said. I didn't hear Vladimir say himself. He might have. But they said that he said that if Hillary had got elected, he would have done a first strike on the United States of America. Wow. I don't know. I'm just blowing hot air. He's got a lot of hot air to blow and a lot of hot devices that he could throw. And that's a place to which we don't want to go. So let's all hope and pray for peace. But remember, love dispels hate. Go out in the world and show your love. Reach across the aisle and show it to people who are different from you, who have different ideologies, different philosophies, who look different. Might smell different too. Don't do like me today and reach in the hole where it might have been a skunk. I did that earlier today in a critter den video. Yeah, have some fun. You know what I do for my followers on this channel. Go ahead and put my hands down in skunk holes. All right. Just because I don't put my hand in a skunk hole don't mean that I'm not studying what's going on in the world, because my job is to help you keep your eyes wide open and head on a swivel. And you're the best swivel heads in the world. Well, that I'm going to say, hey, if you watch this far, say, hey, Greg, I like being a swivel head. And I know you got this far. With all that, I'm going to say thank you, my friends. I really appreciate you all. Appreciate all your loyalty. I hope I don't bore you about death going on so long here, but some of these points just take a little time to make. Anyway, so with that, I'm going to say thank you for watching.